I'm Greg Greenberg, coming to you from the NASDAQ market site in Times Square, and welcome to the Business Rockstars Co-Founders Lab weekly interview series. Today, it's a very special interview with the founder and president of PopSugar, Lisa Sugar, who's going to talk about finding your passion, the transition from corporate to starting your own business, and why you should not have a 5-year plan for your startup. Now, let's head up to the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center in San Francisco and our host, Thuy Vu.
Our guest today is Lisa Sugar, founder and president of PopSugar. What started as a lifestyle blog about 10 years ago has now grown into a top lifestyle brand for millennial women, attracting more than 100 million website visitors worldwide every single month. PopSugar's mission is to help women own their day, whether it's providing great beauty and fitness tips or explaining how hard news developments affect women. Lisa Sugar, so nice to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
So you actually started this business in your living room. Tell us about that.
Well, I really wanted to get into the habit of writing. I knew that I wasn't happy at my current job, and so I wanted to get myself writing every single day about things that I loved and share them with my friends. And at the time, I kind of was doing it just for myself, to get myself trained as a writer, and it grew really, really quickly. And I had a very different point of view from everything else that was out there. So,
were you just not happy with what you were seeing out there and thought you could provide a fresh voice?
I was spending any time I had a break at my job looking for stuff online that nobody even had up yet. And so everything that was out there was either really mean and snarky or very just sort of matter of fact, no personality to it. And so I thought that I could have a lot more fun with, giving people the news of the day that they wanted. And I was able to find stuff really fast before anyone else was. So people found PopSugar and kept coming back.
And I hear that your husband, then your boyfriend, had something to do with this. He helped you a lot.
Yes, he did. So he helped teach me how to code and teach me basic HTML so I could, add pictures in. He taught me some Photoshop, and he got the site up and running. And then he saw how quickly it was growing. And he had a great experience with a lot of brands in the past, and they hadn't grown as quickly online as PopSugar. So he immediately was like, let's brainstorm how we want to take this to the next level. And my advertising background, I had worked at looking at a lot of different categories, and I loved magazines and entertainment. So I wanted to see what other categories we could launch on the site.
So which company milestones are you proudest of so far?
I think everything from getting that 1 million audience to come the first time to figuring out how to adapt and learn how to do video. We started doing video 7 years ago, and that's transformed our business. I also think it's really important we figured out just different revenue streams for the company so that we're not just based on ad dollars.
What are some of the other revenue streams you have now?
So we launched a business called the PopSugar Must Have box in 2012, and that was one of those fun things where we tell people all day long things that we love and they should buy, and we're recommending product. And now we wanted to make it really easy for you to just get a box every month of things that we put in it that we're recommending, and it's across all categories and it's full-size items. And the idea stemmed from, my kids were actually even getting a craft box, and they loved this thing coming every month. And I was like, I want one for me. So between us, realizing this could be a great revenue stream, it'd be a creative way for our audience who loves recommendations to actually then test and feel and have the product in their hands. It was a nice marriage and a good business for us.
So what else would you like to achieve at the company?
I think just continued growth, and I think we're at a time now where there's a lot of companies taking in a lot of money, and we really try to make sure that we remain a profitable company. So kind of weathering the storm of all these media companies taking in a lot of money and making sure that we are spending in the right places and investing and adapting before anybody else, and continuing to invest in things like video, which has done really well for us, and our native advertising business as well.
So in terms of looking ahead, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what are some of the biggest hurdles that you think you'll have to leap over to get there?
Yeah, well, we never try to think too far in advance because every 5 years there's something completely different that didn't exist. When PopSugar first started, there was no social media, so that's obviously changed how we do a lot.
Isn't that amazing?
It's
when you
crazy,
think about it now, you're right. It wasn't that long ago when there was no social media.
There was no mobile, so cell phones. People are consuming our content so much on mobile, and that didn't exist when we first started. So, to think too far in advance is kind of silly for us. It just isn't. It's not something that we can do. But obviously, in the short term, just having our brand in more places where people are consuming it. It doesn't need to be just on PopSugar.com. It can be, on networks and movie theaters and wherever they might end up being.
How many hours do you work a week now?
I would just say I'm always on, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
24/7,
yeah,
right?
and it's really just a blend of everything else that has to get done too, whether it's my 3 kids, my husband, our 2 dogs, or work. It's just, it's always something.
And what about balance? And people talk about balance all the time. How do you find balance?
Yeah, I don't really do well with balance. Brian and I really like to make sure things, because that's when I actually think I am uninspired, is when things become routine in any way. And as much as I like a schedule and making sure like my kids are at bed at a certain time, I definitely like for things to be different.
All right, so you wrote this book.
Yes.
It's called Power You're Happy. And I was skimming through it, and in it you say that you don't believe in a 5-year plan. It's
Yes.
more of an ever-evolving plan. Can you explain?
Yeah, well, I think in our world of content creation, things are just changing so fast. I mean, whether it's the fact that social media didn't exist when we first started the company, or now I used to have to ask people if they had a TV set. There was like this time when we were interviewing candidates, we wanted to know if they owned a TV set, and now it's like it doesn't even matter if they own a TV set or not, because people are just watching content in all different places on all different platforms. So for us to try to think of a really hard 5-year plan, things are going to change, and we know that, and so we have to adapt to where people are going to get all of our content from, whether that is on our actual .com page or on socials or on some various video platform of the future.
And I guess this is kind of related, because in your book you also say it's okay not to know what you want to do. Can you explain that and expand on that?
Yeah, well, that's more like as you're just thinking about your overall career and personal growth. And I think that as we talk to a lot of people about what they like internally in our own company. They may have come in with one job and had a passion with one thing, but over the years have new interests. And I think that whether you're starting a company or you're starting a career, it's important to figure out how you're evolving over time, because your interests change. And so I think even as a 5-year company plan, it comes back to also the people within it and how you keep them happy.
Have you ever made the same mistake twice?
I wouldn't say we've made the same mistake twice. I definitely think that we've learned really fast and hard from some of them, but I do think that there are certain times when we know we need to bring things back in that might have failed years ago that might work now, and so we do that a lot. Sometimes we look back at certain content that didn't do as well, or things that people were engaging in years ago and they kind of stopped, and now they're ready to do that again.
What would some of those things be? I mean, it's kind of interesting to see the cycle of things.
Yeah, well, a good example is we had a live show from 3 of our cities in San Francisco, New York, and LA, and we would go live 20 minutes a day from each city, and this was back in 2012, and it worked really great for like a year. We turned it into a TV show, and then we stopped because we're like, okay, actually this isn't how people want to consume live content. And now with platforms like Facebook and how they're going live, we're at a point where we're like, okay, actually how do we bring this back in a way that it works for our audience now? 3 years later, when there is more people interested in understanding, watching live content.
So what are you doing with that now? Did you bring it back?
Well, we do a variety of stuff, and it's everything from fun polls and engaging and doing it in a live video format, as well as we have a live holiday gift guide show that we do, and every year we put it out there on a different platform that is more modern to where people are consuming it, and we adapt the show accordingly to how our audience wants to watch it.
Is that like what Oprah used to do on her show?
Yeah, exactly.
We've
Our
got
editors
this for
pick
you,
a
and that for
bunch.
you, and this for you.
It's a little different. We don't have a live audience, but we have our audiences everywhere watching it online with us and commenting and engaging while we're doing it.
You're not giving a free card to everybody in the studio audience?
We do have a lot of giveaways, but no free cards.
All right, what are the 3 biggest lessons to learn in dealing with the challenges of starting or growing a business?
I think you have to be patient. I think nothing happens overnight, and that's why, when you are starting small and working really hard at something, and I do tell people that's really important, just start small, keep trying. Taking note of what is happening and what's working is also really important, and then adapting, because you just don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And for us, it could be a new platform, like how Snapchat came out of nowhere, or now Instagram Stories, and now all of a sudden we're creating content for those platforms as well.
Would your business be what it is without social media? Because it seems like you've really just gone in that direction.
No, we still have a very strong .com following, people who just come to our sites direct, and people who follow our brand direct. So while social media has helped, I would say, expand it and grow it, because people can now just get it in all these other places as well, the .com business is still very healthy.
Are there ever moments, though, when you just hit that brick wall and you're just thinking, God, how do I break through this?
No, I think that there's always something to be done and always a new way to tackle something.
How do you do that?
We just keep trying stuff. I mean, that's the thing. We write 200 stories a day. We do
you
200
really?
videos. Yeah, 200
my
videos
goodness.
a month. So, I mean, there's always something to test and try. We talk about bringing up greatest hits, old stories that always do well. How do we change those slightly? So I think there's always something to be done. There's never a time when you just say you give in and give up.
I know you're a busy mom as well. You're a
Yes.
mother of 3 children,
Yes.
10 and under, right?
Yes.
And a new puppy.
Yeah.
How do you find a zen zone for yourself amid all that, running a company, growing a family?
Yeah, for me, it all started at the same time. So we had our first daughter when the company started. And even now, it's like if I need to go lock myself into a room and just calendar plan for an hour, or make sure that I can get my husband in that room with me for an hour to calendar plan so he can commit to stuff, we'll find that time, even if it means that we're in the office and doing it during office hours.
Is your husband Brian?
Yes.
Is he
Yes.
still involved in the business?
Oh, yes, very much. He's the CEO. So we sit next to each other, actually. Yeah.
Guess I should have done better research.
Yeah,
He's the CEO.
He is. Yeah. No, we walk our girls to school. We walk into the office together every morning. We sit next to each other, and that wasn't always the case. We definitely sat on different floors for a while
Yeah.
and such. But no, we're both very actively involved.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And still married despite
still
working
married.
with each other.
Yes. Yes.
Now, that's a whole new book, After Power You're Happy, How to Stay Married Despite
Yeah.
Working Together.
He said he's going to write a book called Power Her Happy.
Ah, very good. You
That's
guys
his
are way
joke.
ahead of me. Well, Lisa Sugar of PopSugar, it's been so fun. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Thuy Vu, and this is Business Rockstars.